Welcome, boys and girls, to Fairy Tale Land. Today, well, this is a very classic story. I'm going to read to you Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack and the Beanstalk. Wow, what a great story. It was written down a long time ago. From Europe, of course. There's no one author. But different people have written different versions down. I'm going to read you one from Ruth Manning Sanders, from her wonderful book, A Book of Giants. Okay, so let's do it. Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there was a boy called Jack, who lived with his mother in a little old bit of a cottage. They had a cow, and that was all they had. They got so poor that they had scarce a morsel to eat and no fodder for the cow. Jack said to his mother one day, "It goes to my heart to say it, but we'll have to sell the cow." "Why so?" said Jack. "Hark to him," said his mother. "Why so, indeed? To get some money to buy his bread, you stupid lad." "All right," said Jack. "I'll drive her to market first thing in the morning, and I'll get a good price for her. I'm the boy to strike a bargain." So first thing in the morning, Jack set out, driving the cow in front of him along the road. It was a long way to market, and the road was hot and dusty. Jack stopped often in the shade of the hedge to rest himself, and let the cow graze on the grass by the wayside. And whilst he was so resting, who should he see coming along the road towards him but a little odd-shaped scrap of a man with a tiny little bag on his back. "Good day to you, Jack," said the little odd-shaped scrap of a man. "And where might you be going?" "If you know my name, I don't know yours," said Jack. "To market I'm going to sell the cow." "I'll buy your cow, Jack," said the little scrap of a man. "That'll save my legs a walk for sure," said Jack. "And how much will you give me?" "More than you dream of," said the little man. "Aha," said Jack. "You can't tell me how much I dream of." The little odd-shaped scrap of a man put his tiny little bag down on the road. He opened that tiny little bag and took out 5 beans. "This is what I'll give you," said he, holding out the beans in the palm of his hand. "Those?" said Jack. 5 beans for a whole cow?" "5 beans," said that scrap of a man. "But what beans?" "Plant them tonight, and they'll have grown to the sky by morning." "You don't say so," said Jack. "And when they've reached the sky, what then?" "Just you go and see," said the little odd-shaped scrap of a man. "All right, it's a bargain," said Jack, for he was feeling hot and tired. He didn't want to walk any further, and he was curious about the beans. So Jack took the beans, and the scrap of a man took the cow. What a bargain, right? His mother's going to be very upset. And whether he drove her north, south, east, or west, or what he did with her, Jack couldn't tell. First he was on the road with her, and then he was gone, and the cow was gone. And Jack walked home with his 5 beans. "I've sold the cow, Mother," said he. "I got a wonderful price for her." And he showed his mother the 5 beans. He was going to tell her what marvelous beans they were, but she wouldn't listen to him. She wept and she scolded and she shouted. She held Jack's arm tight with one fist, and she clouted him over the head with the other fist. And when Jack wriggled himself free and ran up to his garret bedroom and slammed the door, she took his precious beans off the kitchen table, where he had laid them, and flung them out the window. And then she sat down by the fire and had a good cry. It was the rising sun that usually woke Jack of a summer morning, by looking in under the eaves and shining on his face. But next morning, the sun did no such thing. "Can it be raining then?" thought Jack. And he jumped out of bed and stuck his head out the window. Mercy me, what a sight! The world seemed to be wrapped in leaves. Look down, look up, look to one side or the other. Nothing could Jack see but leaves and twisting stems. A mighty ladder of beanstalks growing out of the earth and rising to the sky. So strong, so broad, so green, so shining, that Jack felt like a gnat must feel under the beans in a kitchen garden. "Well," thought Jack, "Mother may say what she likes, but this is a wonderful price for an old cow. If that ladder of beanstalks doesn't reach the sky, I'm a noodle. So what next?" Then he remembered the words of the little old odd-shaped scrap of a man. Just you go and see. So I will then, said Jack. And he got out the window and began to climb up the beanstalk. And that's the picture you see in front of you. Up and up and up and up. My days, it was some length of a way. But he reached the sky at last and stepped off the highest branch of a beanstalk onto a wide white road. Along this road he walked till he came to a very large house. And standing on the doorstep of a very large house was a very large woman. It's a fine morning, ma'am, said Jack, and that's a fine house you live in. Is it? Said the woman, staring hard at Jack. I had no supper last night, ma'am, said Jack, nor no breakfast this morning. So I'm wondering, would you be good enough to give me a bite to eat? Bite, said the woman. If you don't clear off good and quick, it's you who will be the bite. How so? Said Jack. Because my husband is a giant, who eats boys the like of you, said the woman. He's taking his morning walk just now, but when he comes back, he'll have you broiled for his breakfast. And there's that ugly giant, and there's the woman. But Jack was so hungry that he wouldn't take her warning. He begged and he prayed for just a little sup of something, till at last she felt pity for him, led him into the kitchen, and gave him some bread and cheese and milk. That sounds good. He had only just time to swallow it up, down, before he heard the giant coming. Stamp, thump, stamp, thump. Now I'll catch it, said the giant's wife. Here, into the oven with you. And she bundled Jack into a great cold oven and shut the door on him, just as the giant came into the kitchen. The giant took a sniff that was like a volcano spitting, and then he roared out, Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of a Christian man. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. You must be aging, I fancy, if you can't smell better than that, said the giant's wife. 'Tisn't no man at all. It's a rhinoceros I boiled for your breakfast. The giant grumbled and growled for a bit. He didn't like to be told he was aging, but he sat down at last and ate his breakfast. And after that, he bid his wife bring him his bags of gold, and she set them on the table in front of him. Then she went out to see to their cattle, for she did all the work, and the lazy giant did nothing but eat and sleep. What a bum. He fell asleep now, with his head on a pile of gold. Let's see. Oh, there it is. There it is. He fell asleep now, with his head on the pile of gold coins he had taken out of one of the bags, and was counting. Yes, he fell asleep snoring, and Jack came quietly out of the oven. Then Jack climbed up the table leg and laid hold of the bag of gold that was farthest from the giant's great head, and away he went with it at a run. So he grabbed a little pile of gold. Hold on. He went out of the kitchen and through the front door and along the wide white road and never stopped running till he came to the top of the beanstalk. And then down he climbed with the bag of gold under his arm. Down and down and down and down and down till he reached home and gave the bag of gold to his mother. She didn't scold him that time, nor yet did she cuff him about the head. She kissed him and called him her clever boy, and they lived on that bag full of gold till it was all spent. Well, well, now they were poor again, and Jack's mother said, poor they must remain, for she wasn't willing that Jack should meet the giant again. But Jack thought otherwise. So early one morning, when his mother wasn't looking, he climbed the beanstalk once more, up and up and up and up and up, till he reached the sky, and stepped out onto the wide, white road. And along the wide road he went, till he came to the giant's house, and through the front door and into the kitchen, and there was the giant's wife cooking breakfast. Good morning, ma'am, said Jack. Ah, said she, stooping to glare at him. Where's the bag of gold? I wish I knew, ma'am, said Jack. It's magic the way gold vanishes. Yes, when you take it. Magic, said she. Haven't you got it? Why, no, ma'am, said he. If I had, I shouldn't be here starving for a bit of bread. Well, I can believe that, said she. Here. And she gave him some bread. Then they heard the giant coming back from his morning walk. Stamp, thump, stamp, thump. So she pushed Jack into the oven and shut the door on him. Fee, fi, fo, fum, said the giant, and all the rest of it. And she told him again that he must be aging if he smelled Christian men where no man was, and he didn't like to be told he was aging, so he ate his breakfast in a sulk. After breakfast, he said, Wife, bring me my hen that lays the golden eggs. Now, I wish I had a hen like that. And she brought the hen, and then went away to see to the cattle. And the giant said to the hen, Lay. And it laid a gold egg. And he said, Lay again. And it laid another gold egg. And it went on like that till the giant got tired of the game and fell asleep with his head on the table. And the hen pecked about on the floor. Now this is him going down with it. Wait, right there. Yeah. Oh no, right here. So then Jack came out of the oven and snatched up the hen. You see him there with the hen? And away to go like the wind. But the hen cackled, and the giant's wife came running after Jack, shaking her fist and screaming. She was wearing a long apron, and she tipped over the apron and fell. And lucky that was for Jack, because he got down the beanstalk before she could pick herself up again. See what I've got this time, Mother, said Jack. He put the hen on the kitchen table and said, Lay. And there was a gold egg. And he said, Lay again. And there was another gold egg. Now they had gold whenever they wanted it, and were rich as rich. So Jack's mother fetched an axe and said she was going to cut down the beanstalk. But Jack said no, it was his beanstalk. And he'd be blowed if he'd have it cut down. He had a plan in his head to visit the giant yet once again. But he didn't tell his mother. She had a plan to cut down the beanstalk when Jack was out of the way. So she hid the axe all handy at the foot of the beanstalk, and well it was that she did so. Jack did visit the giant once more, but this time he didn't go into the house and ask the giant's wife for breakfast. He feared she might wring his neck for stealing the hen and making her trip over her apron. So he hid behind a bush in the garden till he saw her come out with a bucket and go to the pump for water. Then into the kitchen he nips and hides himself in the flour bin. The giant's wife came back and set about getting breakfast. And very soon after, stamp, thump, in came the giant. And didn't he sniff? Wife, said he, I smell the blood of a Christian man. I smell him. I do smell him. If it's that little thief that stole our hen, said she, he'll be in that oven. But Jack wasn't in the oven, and though they searched almost everywhere, they didn't find him, because they never thought of looking in the flour bin. Clever Jack. Any more than you would if you were looking for a boy. I'm vexed, wife, said the giant, when he had eaten his breakfast. Bring me my gold harp to soothe me. So the giant's wife brought the harp and set it on the table. Now a harp is, well, I'll show you. Set it on the table, and then she went out to see in the cattle. Sing to me, harp, said the giant, and I'm going to show you the harp. Wait. There's the harp. It's a musical instrument. Sing to me, harp, said the giant. And the harp began to sing. It sang high and it sang low, and the sound of it was sweeter than the song of any bird. The giant listened and forgot he was vexed. Vexed means to be mad, by the way. Soon his head nodded and his eyes closed, and there he was, sprawled over the table, asleep and snoring. I don't like him. He's an obnoxious giant. Then Jack came out of the flour bin, climbed up the table leg, snatched the harp, and away to go like the wind. But just as he was going through the door, the harp called out, "Master, master!" Little squealer. And the giant woke up and stumbled to the door, rubbing his eyes. When he saw Jack going like the wind down the wide white road with the harp tucked under his arm, the giant let out a roar and pounded after him. And there they were, the two of them, Jack running for his life and leaping like a hare — a hare's a rabbit — and the giant roaring and taking long strides and making the sky shake. He better have saved his breath from roaring, for that slowed him up a bit, and just as he stretched out a hand to grab Jack, Jack reached the top of the beanstalk. Then it was down and down and down and down and down. Jack scrambling for his life, but never letting go of the harp. Let's see where we are. Well, we did that already. Well, he's going to come down now. The giant looked over the edge of the sky, took a hold of the beanstalk, and shook it. He wasn't sure if it would bear his weight. But just then the harp called out, "Master, master!" And that settled it. Down and down and down and down and down the giant went climbing. Uh-oh, the giant is coming after him. And the leaves fell like rain, and the boughs groaned and bent. But they held him. So then Jack looked up and saw the giant gaining on him. "Mother, mother," shouted he, "the axe! Bring me the axe!" She hadn't to go looking for that axe, as you know. She picked it up from under the bottom boughs of the beanstalk, the leaves, and Jack slithered the rest of the way, leapt to the ground, snatched the axe from her, and chopped the beanstalk in two. The great thing swayed this way, and it swayed that way, and then it came crashing down, and the giant came crashing down with it. He fell so heavily that he fell dead, and Jack hadn't even to finish him off with the axe. Well now, the hen that laid the golden eggs had already made Jack and his mother rich, and the harp didn't make them any richer, but it made them more joyful. For if they were downhearted or tired or sad, or if they fell out one with the other, they only had to put the harp on the table and say, "Sing to us," and it sang and sang, till their hearts sang with it. They pulled down a little old bit of a cottage and built themselves a splendid house, and it said that Jack grew up to marry a princess. Maybe he did, and maybe he didn't. Who knows? But whomever he married, the harp could sing to three as well as to two, and it made no difference to Jack's mother. The end. Well, that was fun. I like that story. And it just goes to show, be very careful if you go up a beanstalk and you run into a giant and his nasty old wife. Have a great day, boys and girls. Until next time. This is Fairy Tale Land. Bye-bye.